Yesterday, we learned about how the lack of communication between the United States and Russia could have a devastating impact by creating conditions similar to those that brought the world to the brink of nuclear disaster during the Cold War. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz sat down with former U.S. Secretary of Defense Wiliam Perry to find out why the lack of communication between the world's nuclear superpowers is a recipe for catastrophe.
An accidental nuclear war could start because either side falsely detected an attack coming against it. And then they had to decide what to do with their ICBMs. And they might decide to launch them on the basis of that information rather than lose them. And then if the information were wrong, they would have accidentally started a nuclear war. We have had, during the Cold War, at least 5 different false alarms. Each time we made the right decision not to launch, both the United States and Russia. But it does depend, those correct decisions were because there was no specific tension, no specific issues at the time. Had those false alarms happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis, for example, that would have created a context in which we might have made the wrong decision. So my point simply was, as the hostility between the United States and Russia increases, it is recreating the conditions which might allow us to make a wrong decision, might allow us to put the pressure on the leaders to decide to launch rather than wait and see. Accidents will happen. We will have false alarms again in the future. It's important that when those false alarms occur, our leaders can believe that they were false and not that the other side is deliberately launching an attack against us. So those are the conditions I'm concerned about, recreating the conditions of hostility which might increase the possibility of an accidental nuclear war.
Well, now we're from Israel. I'd like to ask you a question that certainly is on the minds of Israeli viewers. We have a policy of nuclear ambiguity. The state of Israel has never admitted to nuclear. Has the time come for Israel to join the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty?
I believe yes. First of all, the ambiguity is not convincing. Secondly, we need all the help we can get in the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And it would be helpful to have Israel's weight in there, helping us, because besides an accidental war, the second great danger is more proliferation of nuclear weapons, and we end up with a regional nuclear war. So it's very important, I think, to have the support of Israel in the Non-Proliferation Treaty. But to do that, Israel has to back away from its position of ambiguity in nuclear weapons.
In Israel, we were, of course, lobbying against the nuclear deal with Iran. We're now almost a year into that deal. Should Israelis be able to sleep quietly and feel safer today than we were before the deal was reached?
I have been always very much concerned about the possibility that Iran would go nuclear. I think that would be a disastrous outcome. Against that backdrop, let me say that I have welcomed the agreement that was made with Iran. Not that it guarantees they'll never get nuclear weapons, but it certainly decreases the probability, and it also increases the support within Iran for those leaders who did not want nuclear weapons, who believed they were a danger, who were looking to reach an accommodation with the West. So for all of those reasons, I think it was a good agreement, not just for the United States. I think it was a good agreement for Israel as well. I realize many leaders in Israel do not agree with that, but I think it was a good agreement for Israel.
Former Defense Minister Perry, thank you so much for being with us at ILTV.
Thank you. It's good to talk with you.